Okay, we are live now for Season 5 of the FVC. It's been 260 days since we left off in Bahrain for Season 4, and now it has been a very long wait. First out on track today is OJ English, driving for the Williams team. Entirely new cars compared to last season. Interesting to see how everybody fares. Still experiencing a lot of technical difficulties. I apologise if the stream goes down at any point or if it gets stuttery. I've done as much as I can on my end to make this as pleasant a viewing experience as possible. However, unfortunately, there's only so much I can do. Looking over our season for this year. Hang on a second, I've lost my documents. So, looking back over our grid for this year, previous champion FB Apex pairs up with championship rival Scarlet A42 in the Aston Martin team. Two very quick drivers will hopefully be taking the Constructors home. Apex has won all 4 of the previous Constructors titles in the FBC history, hoping to be making it 5 out of 5 this season. Pairing up in Williams this year, we have drivers OJ English and Simon Baker 4067. However, actually, never mind, they are both here. Both currently going out on their outlaps. No idea how these two will fare, OJ English being a graduate, I think, from FVC 2. Not personally seen them on track myself, however I've heard they are pretty decent. We have a yellow in Sector 3, and no idea what has caused that. Bring up the full track maps, get a better idea. Aston Martin, one of the drivers going off the track, led by OJ English, who was the first driver in Season 5 to start their flying laps. Williams getting all the way out the gates, hoping to be the top of the teams, it seems. Another yellow in Sector 1, as it looks to be. Not sure. Possibly one of the Alpines, no. Gone out round the end of the corners, with English is purple, second sector, not hard, the only car currently on flat left. One of the McLaren spin out of the first chicane. Red Bull off the track as the Bulls come through, but slightly obstruct the lap. Both the Aston Martins seem to come through, as one of them seems to get tangled up in the incident. That is, it seems Scarlet pointing completely the wrong way around. A lot of damage, a lot of problems at the end of the sector. Car's broken front wings. English sets the bar with a 133.5 on the hard part for Williams. Continuing now down the list for our teams. Pairing up for AlphaTauri this year, we have drivers Rolling 7 and SOG and Impulse, both of which still in the pits. Right now, that might be a good idea. As now, D765 sets the fastest lap for Mercedes at a 131.9 the soft tyre, much faster than the Williams with a much faster tyre. Freeboy 53 has also set a lap for the Ferrari, 136.925. Freeboy pairing up with Jay Broughton this year. Moving on to the Alfa Romeo pairing, we have Brady Paul at 37 and Adoro Tay. More problems encountered in sectors. Apex is retired from the session. Crashed with a Ferrari, I presume. The Tree Boy. That is unfortunate for the championship winner and title defender. But we're getting back to them.
Hello there.
Welcome, Apex. What happened out there?
Well, basically, I came onto the straight and I spun, and then Treeboy drove into me. Like,
Already
to just
starting to blame Sam for this
we was
season.
both off the track, and yes, we crashed into each other basically.
Well, How do you think this is going to affect your title defense this year, then?
It won't. It's okay. It's pre-season.
Well,
Although I was using the first laps to get used to manual again, but I now can't do that because I've been killed. So we'll see.
we'll just have to see. How do you think about pairing up with your previous championship rival Scarlet is going to fare for you this year?
I'm hoping things are going to go well for us. Scarlett's an incredible driver, and a driver that I know I can battle quite well. We have a lot of respect, and where we had a lot of respect as rivals and our teammates, the respect is still there. It never left. So I think it's going to be a nice teammate sort of relationship that we have. But obviously, we're still going to be both pushing on track to get the maximum out of the car.
Fair enough. Now, obviously, as defending champion, you're going to be hoping to get the title this year. But another stat that you're hoping to be looking for is going 5 for 5 out of the constructors' titles. How do you think you're going to pull that off this year?
Luck and big balls, basically.
Fair enough.
I'm not quick on this game. I can be the first to admit that. I know that for a fact. So realistically, what I need this year is just both some luck that I got, like I got in season 4, and just being able to properly race the competitors, which with the lack of pace that I have, is going to be hard. But obviously, I have the experience over a lot of the other drivers here, so I'm hoping that due to that I can outsmart some of the rivals instead of just beat them on pure pace.
Sounds like a good plan. And one final question. How do the cars feel for this season? Obviously, we've got a completely different rule set than Season 4 and previous. These cars utilising a lot more of the ground effects than traditional downforce. And as we've noticed, a lot of people are having problems with controlling the car and spinning. It's not even been 10 minutes into the session yet.
Yeah, so they handle a lot differently. I think the handling model of the game itself has gotten a lot better over the last couple of weeks. The understeer used to be quite unbearable, but now getting into the game's sort of adjusting the handling physics. You can get the car to turn now, which is nice. It's a lot slidier. Obviously, you don't have that massive aero through the long corners, so you've got to really judge and change how you judge the corners now, because we're all used to how they were in 2021. So it is a lot different, but I would say the performance is still there. Obviously, we're not going to be hitting the same sort of 128s around here as we would last year in pre-season, but we are going to get the racing, which is what's going to matter.
Yeah. Obviously, times are going to be a bit off. Currently, we have the records held by Mercedes at 131.9. As you said, quite different to the 128s we were getting last season. However,
yes,
obviously the cars hopefully should be battling a lot closer.
Yeah, and one thing you got...
Another spinner, technically the Red Bull of VNT Rosenquist.
Same place as I encountered Rosenquist on my lap. But yes, so the cars do handle differently. And you got to remember that when we was in France for season 4, and I think for the summer series as well, it was quite late or later in the game's life cycle. Whereas the tunes are still sort of being worked out with where we've gotten a new handling model with the game coming out. All the tunes will change. So we are still early in that tuning. So you're not going to get the perfect tunes that we have had in previous years at the moment. You're going to get some sort of rough tunes, which even I've got. But hopefully, with as time and the season goes on, the tunes are going to start getting more better, and you're going to start seeing the lap times get a lot closer to last year's game.
seems to have encountered problems with the McLaren of Saskia around the first sector. Saskia is holding up everybody. There's a bit of a collision there between the Ferrari and Aston Martin. Ferrari will check up massively for Saskia being slowed through the corner. That's broken up the front of Scarlet. Seems like the drivers are going to have to take a bit more care this year, because not everyone's used to how the car's handled yet. Do you think driving on the edge is going to be that bit harder and cause a few more mistakes this year because of that?
Yeah, so you are really going to have to judge how far you can push the car, which is obviously like that in every single race. But this year, for definite, because in the previous games, you can push, you can have a slide, and you can catch it. This game, the car is going round. There's very little saving it. So I think a lot of this game is going to be, if you have a spin, you need to learn how to recover from it quickly. Because these cars like to spin around and just pirouette, do a 180. They don't like to spin and do a 360. So you need to, don't get me wrong, you can do that. I can do that. You just got to know how to flick the car if it's spinning. Or you just catch it, which is a lot harder to do. But
I guess we'll see as the season progresses how these cars fare when they're actually in full-on battles. First corner of the first race next week is going to be an interesting one for sure anyway.
Yeah, so we're at China next week, which is the first China has hosted a season opener in the FVC. But it's a great track. We obviously had the thrilling battle of me, Scarlett, and POR Ben last time out in season 4, where I was in a hotel room trying to win the championship. Obviously, didn't come to fruition, and having a big championship like deciding collision. And obviously, Williams going on to get a 1-3 in that race with Grima coming third. It was a big turning point in the championship, and a point where I had to say,
Brady nearly gets the wall spinning out of the... Not sure what corner that is. I haven't actually got the names or any of the numbers.
I believe that's a Doro.
Oh, it is a Doro. Yes, never mind. My bad. My apologies.
But yeah, so China should be a fun race. It's just going to be a case of...
Quick update from one of the drivers. Rain in 10 to 15 minutes, according to some of the engineers on the pit walls.
I mean, that'd be nice, but I am not in the race.
Have we ever had rain previously in the commentary, or the pre-season, sorry?
I'm not too sure. I don't think so.
Never in my memory, anyway.
I think it's always been dry when we've come here for pre-season. So we'll just have to see.
I'd say if it does come, the drivers should be taking full advantage of it, getting used to how these cars drive in the wet conditions. Obviously, we have no idea what the rain or the weather will be like on any of the race days until we get there.
Yeah, so
key for this.
Adaptability is definitely going to be key. Learning how to drive in the wet is going to be key, because having wet races off of a random thing is more common this game. It's not much more common, but it is more common. So I would expect to see a wet race this season, and if it comes in Monaco, then who knows? Chaos.
Chaos indeed. We're about halfway through our pre-season test now. B765 is still holding the top spot with a 131.922. Currently the only driver to break out of the 132 barrier. Up in second is Brady Ball at 37 at the 132.10, and Jay Broughton with a 132.442 in third. Who do you think is going to be winning the races this season? Initially, you have a couple of very quick drivers on the grid and a couple of graduates from FVC2. Who's your
yeah, so we've got a lot of the FVC2 drivers actually up there in the top positions, which is really nice to see. See having the young guns in a sense. Actually just get up there. It's like the next generation of the FVC drivers. having D Numbers up there and Jay Broughton and Adoro Tail up there, all graduates from
OJ English as well, if
FVC2.
I'm not mistaken.
Oh yes, and OJ. But having them up there is just really nice to see. But we've obviously got a lot of the.
Saskia spun again at the chicane on the backstrip.
Why am I not surprised?
Saskia is not having the greatest time currently, having the second slowest lap, only being beaten out by Tree Boy. That's about 3/10. Rosenquist is now set a 152, however that is most likely an out lap.
Oh, and there's a spin.
Again, that's a very big spin, but thankfully there's no walls around there. E75 sets a new fastest lap at 131.8, increasing the gap at the top from Demi now of the Alpine to 132.1.
But just that spin there goes to show. Oh, there we go. Hot tyres.
That's hot tyres. That's going to be very effective.
That goes to show, though, how hard it is to get the car to spin back around. Obviously, hot tyres, the car is going to spin and keep going.
I'm going to get off of Saskia to save her the embarrassment.
Yes, we shall both do that. Oh, and Scarlett's gone round.
Oh, nearly a crash between Rosenquist and one of the Alpines coming onto the second sector. Wonder who was in that Alpine that caused it. It looks to be... would have been Blyaffer, by the looks of it, on the positioning. As Saskia's now retired, I wonder what's happened to her. Is it too late to be able to see what truly happened?
Let's jump on board with Harrison M. Well, yet again, another graduate. Another graduate from FVC2. And obviously a name twin of mine.
Oh, that's right in the middle of the track, that McLaren. Thankfully it's been moved away now.
Yeah, people are going to have to watch out for that.
Red Bull has spun around, nearly collecting the Mercedes for Eldorado.
But I feel like we've got a good season here. We've got a great grid to supply some good racing. I don't think I'll be going for the championship. I'm not that quick on this game. But I feel like constructor standings, because we have got to... and there's almost a crash between the Alfa Romeo.
Scarlett spins up ahead of them.
It's just chaos, as it normally is in testing.
This season seems to be much more chaotic than normal, though. Lots of spins,
yes.
A couple of accidents already.
So that's just going to be the case with this season, because there is we've got such slippery cars. People are just going to spin, which is why being consistent is going to be better than being fast. That is why I have some confidence in my driving this season, because I very rarely spin. I'm now going to spin every race of the season now, but I normally get my spins out in I normally get my spins out in qualifying, and I did that in season 4. I did spin a little bit, but it was always in qualifying, because I made all my mistakes in qualifying and brought it back in the race. That might be the same story as we've got this year, but I know how to control my limit in a sense. I know where my limit is, and I know where to, when and where to push to the limit. So we will just have to see, but I'm looking forward to this season. I feel like we have a chance to go for constructors. Drivers is not going to be possible for me, I don't think. But we've got a very, very quick team here. We proved that in the last summer series that me and Scarlett can be an unbelievable team. And Scarlett won the championship there. So we've got the last 2 FVC champions in a team together, which has never, ever happened before in FVC history, and I'm back at my old team that I won my championship with. So there's a lot of comebacks here, a lot of returns to teams, a lot of returns with teammates. So we just have to wait and see, but I'm looking forward to what the future holds.
Very exciting to watch then, for sure.
Definitely.
Minutes remain in our pre-season test. E765 still unbeatable and the only driver in the 131s. However, there are others getting close now. Jay Broughton with a 132.089, currently closest in Ferrari. There are definitely a number of drivers out there that I think could be contesting for it this year.
Yes, so obviously on the driver's sheet we do have Azzy, and Azzy, if Azzy turns up to every race, Azzy will win the championship, no doubt about it. I can call that now because that will happen. But if Azzy misses a few races, like Scarlett did in season 4, someone could come out of the blue and win it. I feel like Demi is one to watch. I know Demi is quick. I've seen how quick Demi can be. Um, they are a very quick driver, unbelievably quick
They are
driver,
indeed currently holding
and
up in third.
holding up in third, and they're on mediums. I can guarantee that D numbers was on softs for their lap. Actually,
D numbers was on soft during the lap. I seen it popped up. They seem to be on softs again, going for another flying lap. We might see an improvement here.
I think you're going to see more improvement here as Demi comes across the line. DRS open, flying towards the start-finish line. No improvement as of yet, but I think Demi is just going to be holding back for now, waiting for the qualifying, waiting for the race, and then you're really going to see how quick Demi can be.
Guess we'll just have to wait and see until then. There is a AlphaTauri stranded off the track of FVC Impulse, currently waiting for a couple other cars to go back, tries to spin it round, slightly overdoes it. Gets back going now without incident.
Scarlett almost getting collected by the Alfa Romeo there. Spun at a very, very quick part of the track in the kink into fourth.
And the big right-hander.
Yeah, it is a really tough once you've spun to keep the car in a straight line, because as soon as you spin, them rear tires are heated.
Yeah, as soon as you get the rear tire temperature, it's a lot harder. It spins again.
There we go.
Got no grip as soon as those tires start overheating.
Yeah, that's what's gonna. Now with
a 131.3 in the Alfa Romeo, that smashes the lap from B765 there.
Oh, and this is almost going to be a crash.
Jumped away just at the wrong time. Ferrari's coming off the track. I'd say Scarlett will probably come in and get those tires taken off. She can even make it to the pits.
But I think this year could be the first year for maybe a repeat of a. Oh,
what's happened there?
Okay. I drove into the pit wall.
Oh. Well, thankfully, the embarrassment we saved from her is we just missed it. I had tapped away to go and check on the McLaren.
I can't say the same for my stream, but we could see a repeat of a drivers' champion for a team that has already won the drivers' championship this year, as we've got both Alfa Romeo and Mercedes that are topping the timing sheets at the moment. Alfa Romeo. Their previous champion being
131.1.
Oh damn!
Brady Pollock.
Yeah, so obviously Alfa Romeo's previous drivers' champion being all the way back in FVC season 3 with LCR F1 Ben, an absolutely just blindingly quick driver back in the days of season 3. And then we have Mercedes, who the champion would be the season after that of ERL Kyle.
Alfa Romeo and Mercedes have had some very quick drivers in their lineups over the past few seasons.
Yes, 100%. Obviously, Mercedes winning the Constructors' Championship in Season 3. The drivers being myself, Azzy, Kyle, and Greema, I believe the 4 drivers were for that season. Obviously, 2 reserves and 2 main drivers. But Alfa Romeo have really seriously been lacking since Season 3. Haven't really had any high performances up until yourself joined in Season 4.
Even then, I was only coming around in 6th, though.
It's still points that the team hadn't gotten in ages, and that is why Alfa Romeo have got one of the lowest points for a team. I think the lowest are Haas or Alpine. I'm not too sure between the two. But Alfa Romeo are definitely down there. It's because they just haven't had the pace that some of the other teams have they're a very oddball team, and it's a bit like Aston Martin. Aston Martin are a big oddball team, and they just don't normally have fast drivers. The only time they really had a fast driver was, unfortunately, myself in season 4, where I lucked into a championship. This is the first time that Pixels hasn't been in the team or SAS hasn't been in the team.
Actually,
So
moving over to McLaren. Pixels is still there on reserve, though, if I'm not mistaken.
yes. So Pixels is a reserve driver for us this year. We're definitely going to need him at some point. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Alfa Romeo looking to be favourites, though. 4 minutes remaining. Half a second ahead. However, 765 is now heading out on an out lap, as is Freeboy 53.
But by no means should you discount the Ferrari boys this year. Tree Boy, an absolutely brilliant driver that's returning to FVC. He has got almost as many podiums as me. Granted, not as many wins, and I don't think Tree Boy has a win yet, unfortunately.
Still
But
a very consistent driver for the rest of the podium spots, though.
Tree Boy has 11 podiums. That is unbelievable. The only drivers that have more is Scarlett and myself. Scarlett on 12, I believe, and myself on 15. So there is, Tree Boy is a contender for any podium that Tree Boy races with. And the fact that Tree Boy is now back at Ferrari, easily one of the best partnerships of any teams. And then
FVC2
alongside
champion,
Broughton
Jay
as well.
Broughton, pairing up with him. Very quick duo there. Broughton may not have the full experience,
unbelievably,
though, as the drivers missed the chicane. That will invalidate the lap. But anyway, Broughton, a lot of experience in the lower FVC2. Not as much in the main FVC series, though. Maybe the higher competition could throw a spanner in the works there for the Ferrari team.
I think Broughton is going to throw a spanner in the works for everyone else here, because I don't think any of the big drivers, that the returning names, are going to see Broughton as a threat. Whereas you really need to judge it on the skill of the driver. Obviously, FVC2, they're using the same cars as we use now, so you've got to watch the performances of FVC2 to see how they're gonna perform in season 1. And the fact that Broughton won the championship with pretty much relatively ease, there is no doubt that Broughton is going to be up there. And I mean, he's in 5th at the moment behind his teammate. There's about a 10th that separates them.
Yes.
Do not count out the Ferrari boys this year, because they are going to be one hell of a team to watch out for.
Number of teams out there that are looking quick, though.
Yeah, so there are, yeah. There is a.
If we look at the other FVC2 graduates, OJ English and I'm forgetting who else, I apologise.
Salmon Baker.
Salmon Baker and yes, the pairing at Williams. They're down 10th and 11th, about a second or so off of Freeboy and Broughton. Broughton is very fast compared to the rest of the grid, but need to wait and see how it comes out for the experience levels.
Yeah, so I feel like in this season you're definitely going to see a difference between the level of experience. I feel like a lot of the older drivers that have been doing this for a long time are going to have not a pace advantage, but a advantage when it comes to controlling the car. You're going to see a lot of the newer drivers spin a lot more, lose control of the car a lot more. Whereas you're going to see a lot of the older drivers being able to control it. A lot like Sebastian Vettel. Obviously, Sebastian Vettel very rarely makes a mistake these days. Same as Fernando Alonso as well. They very rarely make mistakes, as much as the younger drivers do. They're just not as quick as they used to be. I think that's going to be the case this year. You got a lot of older drivers like myself. You got Scarlett. You got Demi. You've got Azzy. But I feel like Azzy is one of them timeless classics, where a lot like Fernando Alonso, to be fair, where they just don't stop being quick. Azzy is just an unbelievably talented driver, and I can't wait to see them race on track. But that is the end of of the session. So I'm going to
End
jump
of our
back out.
Pre-season, yep. We will see you on track for the qualifying that's coming up shortly for our pre-season race.
Sounds good.
Obviously, this race doesn't count for anything. It's just to get everyone a bit used to the cars in a proper racing condition.
Sweet. Right. Have fun.
Oh,
And I'll see you soon.
big spin for Adorote coming round the final few corners. Apex has now departed the commentary booth. I am back on my own. Was good talking to them, the previous FVC champion. Great insight into how these cars act and what his input is for this year, and, well, just seeing how everything else is going to turn out. Final few competitors now are finishing up their laps in pre-season. Brady Pollock, 131.1. Adorote, 131.2. Very, very quick from the Alfa Romeo pairing. Currently half a second in front of everybody else. Alfa Romeo looking strong, but you cannot discount the Ferrari duo as well as D765. All are going to be very quick drivers. It's going to be a very, very interesting season ahead of us. Looking at our lineup now, at the end, South African of Brady Paul at 37 takes the lead. Adorote in second, D75 hanging up in third. Boy 53 and Jay Broughton in fourth and fifth as Demi takes in sixth position. Seventh and eighth go to Harrison M. 906 Eldorado 2009. And Williams OJ English takes up ninth. Early in AlphaTauri is down 10th, and the rest of the grid is Sam and Baker, Charlotte 42. Ginty Rosenquist, Impulse. Scrolling down more. Laya for in 15th. Saskia in 15th, and unfortunate, not set a lap from FBA, ends up in 17th. Welcome back to pre-season of FVC 5. Just after completing our 30-minute pre-season practice session, we're heading into the first qualifying of the year. Obviously, as I said, this race does not count for the points in any sense whatsoever. It's just now to get the drivers better prepared for their cars. On board with OJ English as they exit now the garage as well. Another car at the end of the pit lane looks fellow Williams of driver Simon Baker 46.7. A number of cars are heading out onto the track, including D765. Very, very quick driver currently. Red Bull of VNT Rosenquist as well as the Ferrari of Treeboy 53 also heading out onto track. We have one of the Alpha Tauris heading out now as well. All going to be a bit bunched up for the first flying lap of qualifying. Rosenquist heading out of this pits. We have the Aston Martin duo now of Scarlett and Apex heading out onto track. Currently leading the way, we have, it looks like, Sam and Baker are going to be the first one to start in their flying lap and set the bar for qualifying. As we heard from Apex during the previous session, these cars are very prone to spinning and they are very, very difficult to catch once they start going round. Tyre heating is going to be a big problem, especially during the qualifying runs. Overheating these tyres is going to lose you a lot of grip. Driving on the edge, of course, is going to be a lot harder than it was last season. Have a spin from one of the AlphaTauris. I'm not sure who that is. I think it is Curly7. Indeed it would be. Going to be slightly holding one of the Aston Martins, getting between them. Looks like it's Scarlett going past now. Let's jump back over to Simon Baker, who's going to be starting the first flying lap for qualifying in Season 5. Let's jump on board and see how it goes for them. Very hard braking into the first chicane, hits the apex well. Are slightly unhappy on the exit, the second corner, getting a good launch regardless, and down into the third corner. The apex is nicely. SG and Impulse in front of the Alpha Tauri, going to be giving a good tow down the straight if he gets in range. Power Slate screaming DRS now wide open for the first section of the straight in the back. second leg of the straight, ever so edge of that slipstream from the AlphaTauri in front. Purple sectors 1, purple sector 2, bringing out to the final high-speed corners of this track. This is where a lot of drivers are facing problems. Tyres be very high, running wide, but getting a good cut in with the rest of the corner. Final sections, staying off the apex until late, cut back in, just like we did for the previous corner. Now coming down very, very tight corners to end with. Yes. Good exit off the final corner. DRS wide open now, setting the bar at a 131.8. That's right on the fringes of what the Mercedes and D765 was doing back session. OJ English comes in behind for the 132.8 as well. Very little separating. Now the Alfa Romeo Dorothée nearly smashing the 131 barrier. D765 does indeed get past the 131s. 130.987 for the lead car. As Apex goes even faster again, 130.4 for the defending title champion. Teammate Scarlett E comes over the line with a 1.2 second gap to her teammate. A lot more drivers now heading into the 131. We're going to be seeing possibly even at a very hard push. Some of the fastest drivers might be hitting the 129, but wait and see. There's 13 more minutes left to qualifying. Alfa Romeo Brady Pollock sets a 134.69, only 700 slower than the Aston Martin in front. A very quick duo to watch those two. Ferrari now, coming over the line, sets a 131.75, Jay Rotten, FVC champion. On sector 2 as the Red Bull missed the chicane. The Williams now coming in to pits to stock up on tyres. OJ English goes past actually for a second lap. Mercedes now are catching up on the line. Getting ready for another lap, looks like. Hoping to improve on that 131. Lots of cars going into the pits, getting ready for their second run in qualifying. Going very slowly, must have aborted that lap that they were planning to do. That, or they're just getting a little more safe and cooled down. Very few cars now left on track. We've got Harry Jim Impulse on an invalidated lap. They're probably going to be going in, getting ready for their second run. Charlotte 42 misses the chicane on our map. G's going to have that lap validated, possibly going to be getting ready for another one. One of the Mercedes goes out, that would be... I'm not even sure actually. Simon Baker now heading out for another outlap. It's out in the bar, but it's still very far off. 1.4 second gap to the top of the table currently. Mercedes out. Mercedes of El Dorado. Teammates G765 already going out for another attempt at taking pole position. Dorothée and Scarlett now starts on another flying lap. There's a lot of cars ahead though. However, it looks like teammate FB Apex might just be in a position to give her a tow down the straight. Missing the corners. Mercedes in between them though. That's going to be the El Dorado. Mercedes might complicate things. Oh, well, it's gone through. Apex now, fine position to give a perfect toe down the straight. Scarlett's gaining very quickly though. Not sure how effective this is going to be. Apex darts over the chicane. Setting up for the second leg. Not accelerated soon enough, not going to be enough to give toe for the second part, but Scarlett's going to have it off the Mercedes regardless. Got to be a very strong lap if she gets the rest of it right. For the rest of the grid, we've got a lot of cars coming up now. The track's going to be very busy. However, clear road ahead for Scarlett for the rest of this lap. Mercedes going to be capitalising behind, getting as much of a launch off the corner as Scarlett over the line now. Doesn't go up. That's marginally better, it'll be 131.749, however stays in 5th, quite a far distance off teammate FVA packs. Pit rolls now are going to be reversed as Scarlett gets ready to give a toe to fellow teammate down the straight. That is exactly what's happening. Janet now beats out Scarlett in 5th at the 131.5. What I've heard, they are a very quick driver, but I've yet to see them in action myself. Romeo with Brady Pollock for another lap. I'm not sure who that would be for. Very wide off the track there for Apex. That's a very invalid lap. Hits the ramp go out the way. A lot of the barriers, it seems. Trying to make it as much time as possible, get another lap in before the qualifying ends. On the Alfa Romeo, it's the problem. Randy for sector. Very hard to send into the pits there. Both Aston Martins, I think. Scarlett, unfortunately, hitting issues in the practice. Hitting the wall on pit entry, according to teammate. Action going around the track now. Alfa Romeo slowing. A very long hold for the Aston Martin now. Going to get into the pits. Boy dives into pit lane, but Broughton's going for another lap or finishing off this one. Brady Pollock now takes the pole position off of Apex, 130.299, about a tenth of improvement. That pairing of Alfa Romeo is going to be looking very well to try and take the constructors this year, I'd say. However, it's all going to come down to race pace. Qualifying and practice is one completely different thing. Back to the action, Jake Rawson now, heading down to the chicane, looks to be a fast lap. Never mind, I doing cuss chicane, that's going to be invalidated again. They're hoping to get another one down though. AlphaTauri of Curly 7's heading around the final corners. Curly seems to be very quick, possibly going to be a dark horse compared to their teammate Impulse. However, as I say that, it starts slowing. Whether to save fuel or tyre temperatures. Went to the pits, actually, it seems like. Ferrari behind, also coming to the pits. One's starting to come down for the final runs here. 2 cars left on 3 cars, sorry. Well, going to be 3 as the. Well, the Ferrari seems to be heading out though. likely be great. Back to the cars on track though. Harrison M currently getting the slipstream off of, I think that is 765 currently out lap. Currently very close to breaking a 131. They'll be hoping to do their next lap. Or running very wide instead. This track limits are a little concerned when you're heading into the pit lane. 3.53, OJ English, Sam and Bacon are heading out on out laps, getting ready for their final runs. We already have the Mercedes of D765 taking another attempt at getting pole position. Still quite a far margin to go, but they a rather quick driver. Depends entirely on how they get past the Williams though ahead of them. Navigates back safely. Going to give the Williams a big tow down the straight though. However, doesn't matter for anything. Rolling their outlap. Charlie 42 also heads out onto track with yet again the 131.7, all the way down in 10th compared to 2nd. Connection problems, I apologise for this. Not much can be done. All the Williams slowing down at the sectors 2 and 3. We have 3 minutes remaining in qualifying, so a lot of the drivers are going to be starting heading out now. Their final runs started. Seems like it's a good launch off the corner. Where will this lap put driven? Doesn't improve, or improves by very little. I'm sure. Stays in 4th. What was that? I'm not sure. Possibly driving very angry with themselves. Alfa Romeo's now seem to be heading out. Brady Pollock going for another lap, possibly to defend that pole position. There's not much in it, but I don't see much more improvement for these cars. Aston Martin seems to have messed up their positioning. They're trying to do what they did last time. Apex just came out far too late. Sector 3 yellow is one of the Ferrari spins. That'll be the Ferrari of 3.53. Not going to help. They're going for a lap. Going to compromise that time as well as their exit onto the corner. Sector 2 now. Big bracket cars on the Alfa Romeo seems to be getting away. That'll be Brady Pollock going very slow actually down the straight. Possibly waiting for a slipstream of some kinds. Looking on board with the Aston Martin of FV Apex. These two are now in a position to get the slipstream. Scarlett seems to have sacrificed herself for Apex's sake. Excuse me. Scarlett seems to have sacrificed herself to try and give Apex a shot at pole position. I did say he wasn't the fastest in this game, but now I'm starting to doubt that myself. Currently sitting only a 10th off the pole with every shot there to try and get it. Gordon O'Tain now with 135.98. Very close at the top. As I just know. Final 30 seconds. This is going to be the final laps for everybody. Looks like you're going to be having a number of cars coming over. There's a yellow in Sector 3 though. The Red Bull Rosenquist is going to be sideways on the track, most likely. Gets it going again without incident, but that's going to compromise a couple of laps. Spins again, that's only going to hurt the McLaren behind of Harrison M. Lots of run off at Paul Ricard, thankfully. Allows us to avoid incidents. Qualifying now over. Drivers are finishing their final laps. Jumping board with Harrison M. Going around the final few corners. Currently only a 132.007 in 13th place. Bit of a harsh launch off the final corner. Will this improve? It doesn't seem like it. Does not go up any. Up next, going to be one of the Alpines. Not quite sure who. Treeboy also does not improve any. Let's see, Curly 7 does not go up from 9th. I do not think. Going up next though are the Aston Martins. Apex most likely to spin, that's going to compromise that lap. Scarlett is still going though. Will she get any from where she was? She does, rocketing into 4th place with a 130.858. Report now comes up the line, does not improve from the 130.2. Didn't need to though, already had all position secured by a 10th, and defending champion spins it across the line, backs it into the pole. Doesn't improve, of course. And that's it. Qualifying is done. First and third for the Alfa Romeos, second and fourth for the Aston Martins. Constructors, once originally thought to go Alfa Romeo's way, in my opinion, now is going to be going hard between the two very high prestige teams in FVC. Brady Pollock 037 takes pole position with a 130.299. Apex in second, defending champion 130.402, gap of a little over a tenth. 3 tenths back, Alfa Romeo teammate Adoro Tay with a 130.598 and Scarlett E42 with a 130.858. 5.5 tenths separate the top 5. Just behind them, the very, very fast Mercedes of D765. Broughton takes 5th with OJ English in 7th, Simon Baker in 8th, Eldorado 2009 and Curly 10th. Denny and Treeboy take 11th and 12th, Harrison M and 14th, 13th and 14th. Welcome back to the FVC. Just past qualifying at Polk Ricard Circuit for the first race of the season. Not going to be an official race, however, only pre-season, we're not going to be counting any of the points scored here. Regardless, here's how our grid lines up for today's very first Season 5 race. Brady Pollock 037 lines up on pole position with defending champion FB Apex lying in second, a gap of only a little over a tenth separating them. In third position is going to be Adoro Tay, currently back to 4th though due to unfortunate circumstances, and lining up behind Adoro Tay will be Scarlett 42 on the grid. Very fast driver in the Mercedes D765 YT123 will be teaming up in 5th. Be interesting to watch how they get off the line here. As JL Broughton, the very fast FVC2 graduate, lies in 6th. Williams pairing of OJ English and Simon Baker 4067 lines up 7th and 8th. Full row lockout for Williams team. Eldorado 2009 lines up in 9th. Not the greatest qualifying ever for the second Mercedes, however, all can change during the race. Curly 7 lines up in 10th position for the AlphaTauri team, hoping to get their points this race. Danny Smileface in the team comes up behind in 11th. Good Boy 53 and Harrison N 2960 with 12th and 13th. Secondary Alpine of Brian 9 takes on. In 50th, we go to SUGN Impulse and VNT Rosenquist backs up the grid in 16th position. Number of new drivers here for the FVC, number of graduates from FVC2, and a number of old experienced drivers in our league. Just wondering, did they set the grid up correctly? I'm not too sure. As there has been a glitch in the setup for the lobby again. Dorothy is down in 4th, unfortunately. Does mean that opposing sides of the grid for the Romeo and Aston Martin teammates. They were meant to be in opposing positions, but Regardless, we're all lined up, we're all ready for the first race of FVC Season 5. Jumping on board now with Brady Paul. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights are on. Lights out and away we go. Brady Paul bogs down for the launch. FE8 is getting a much better launch. Scarlet and Adora Tay seem to be getting an equal, but Apex rocketing up to first position. Down behind is D765. Jay Broughton as well. It's a spin in the back. It's like both the Alpha teammates of Curly and Impulse. That is very unfortunate. D765 now challenging for third position. Fighting down the inside of the car. We're coming around to the end of the first sector. Lots of contact between the two cars. Might be going around for a spin. They both spin round! Catching up the Alfa Romeo of Adoro Tay. That is a lot of damage for both those cars. Adoro completely lost the wing. It's a huge impact for the lead of the race. That was drawn up into third. And Williams of Soundbaker into fourth. Both the teammates of the current champion favourites taken out. Still going, but a bit far down the grid. The fight up front, Apex pulling a decent gap over Brady Pollock. Didn't set pole position, Brady could be coming back later in the race. But Broughton seems to be catching just that bit up to Brady. As the safety car is also out, we're all slowing down. I noticed that at first. My apologies, everybody. Hectic first lap as we have a number of cars. Demi's the first one to dive into the pits. FD Apex actually first one. My apologies. Demi second in. Also have the Mercedes of Eldorado coming in. Going to be a number of others. Scarlet gets a multiple penalties. No, never mind. Scarlet gets a penalty as well as like Curly there. Number of cars coming to the pits. Going to be a bit of a backup between some teams here. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Aston Martin teammates seem to be going for a very different strategy than most. Apex did not need to go in, made it through cleanly for the first few corners. However, goes in anyway, changes onto the tyres. Very unique strategy. Hopefully it's going to pay off. Hopefully he knows more than we do up in the commentary. Go and check. Who all got penalties and for what reason? So, it looks like the penalties head towards Curly for a severe Scarlett, and the same goes for Scarlett with Curly, both 5 seconds each. Scarlett also gets a 5 second for corner cutting. 10 seconds total penalty. That's most likely to be served in the pits. Was for Curly anyway, but not all for Scarlett. Bit of drama going on in the chats. Missed calls from race control, it seems, for a couple of cars causing a penalty, so that's likely going to have to be investigated later on. Not going green this lap, still a couple of cars to catch up. For a couple big position changes. Namely, the Williams are in 3rd and 4th from their 4th row lockout. Heading through the pack after this most recent safety car. Going to be going green next lap, by the looks of it. Leading the pack, Brady Paul 037, our pole sitter from earlier in the race. Heading up in second is Ferrari of Jay Broughton. Extremely quick FVC2 graduate, proving that they've got up. Now, okay, never mind. Anyway. Down into 3rd and 4th, we have the Williams pair of Sam Baker and OJ English. Unsure how these two are going to be faring, but they are currently going to be scoring the most points as a team if things stay like this for the rest of the race. However, we're only on lap 3 currently. Moving down into 5th, Trueboy 53, very experienced driver in the FVC. Not quite as high up as their teammate Broughton, but hopefully going to be putting the pressure on the Williams in front. OJ English is also another FVC2 graduate and may not have the experience required behind. Quincy Rosenquist in the Red Bull starts off in 6th position, another very experienced driver in FVC history. However, not got the best of pace compared to some of the rest of the drivers. Playa for 51.69 comes up in 7th position. First Alpine, currently running. Alpine of Playa 59 currently up in 7th, with Harrison M 29.06 in the only McLaren in position. There's now a DNF with the AI of Burley 7, according to the Ascot. Energy and Impulse now the only remaining AlphaTauri in the race. Safety car coming in this lap, running through the rest of the grid. Defending champion FE Apex just about staying in the points in 10th position. Demi Small is just behind. Demi is a very quick driver from what we have seen in C2, or from what I've just told myself. Yet to see them actually drive on track, in the instance, yeah, this plays out. Eldorado 2009 comes up in 12th position with Adoro Tay, pinned up very high up and 13th. Not quite hard as fall though, as D75 and Scarlet D42 lying up 14th and 15th for the start. Coming up front to Brady Pollock, 07, going to be controlling the pack for the end of this. Full control to when they get to go, when the race gets going again. Cars in the pits, most likely going to be going out of the final corner to get the absolute most out of their lead. Doesn't go off at the corner, instead goes up just the DRS line. Getting the jump on Broughton, however, Slipstream going to be bringing back just that little bit extra. Williams of OT English getting fought by Treeboy. Keeps Treeboy behind until the corner though. That's Harrison M's McLaren being spun round, dropping all the way to the back of the pack. Scarlett as well being caught up in the incident. Unsure what's happened there. Jumping back up to the front though. Cars all spread out just a bit. Demi and Impulse are fighting as Apex. That's a big gaggle of cars going round. Wheel to wheel, pretty close. Who's going to have the better of the break to the corner? Impulse will have the inside line, pulling ahead just a bit. However, Demi, they can hold it just around. Contact between the two cars does get the better of the exit, staying ahead just that bit. More wheel contact, bumping away. Impulse keeping up, gaining ahead of Demi. And here comes the Romeo Vidorite charging up behind him. Has to back off, not anywhere else to go on the track. As Demi spins round, nearly collects the Mercedes on for them. Going to be a very close battle now, to be relegated down near Scarlet. Harrison just falls down off the back, jumping back up to the battle ensuing. Impulse heads off the track. Very close battle now. Both the Mercedes fighting each other. Brady Pollock taking the fastest lap, 1:29 for the Alfa Romeo team. Apex seems to be fighting up the grid very well, up to 7th. Yellow flags as the Red Bull now of Rosenquist spins round and off the road. Experience not showing that keep the car going in the same direction. Adorate is hoping to keep their engines only going up instead of backwards, fighting their way from their fortunate position down near the bottom of the grid. Not got the same amount of speed as the AlphaTauri down the straights, however does hold the inside line, pulls just ahead. We're attempting to head around the outside of the Red Bull of Rosenquist. Gets the move done just before the big track. Rosenquist runs wide. Demi full advantage of the mistake by the Red Bull driver. going right side, promoting of themselves up to 14th. Still a long way to fight back and not many laps left. Brady Pollock 60 fast lap again at a 130.8. Pulling away rightly from Broughton. DRS is now enabled for all cars. Rosenquist coming into the pit lane. Unsure for damage or just a tyre change. Regardless, they're going to be a long way off the pack. Very likely to score points. 2 seconds now separates leader from Jay Broughton. Williams, though, of OG English keeping up very well as Treeboy 53 has made a position against the other Williams of Salmon Baker. Harrison M spins near the back of the McLaren, going right down to 14th position. Apex, though, challenging Simon Baker into the chicane, stays on the inside, gets ahead. Sam's going to have the inside line, but the corner does not matter. Completely goes around the outside. Sam, though, is going to have the slipstream down the straight. A number of other cars also has these softer compound tyres that take more speed. Harrison is going for corner cutting, most likely going straight through the chicane. Apex's charge on the fresh tyre seems to pay itself off now, gaining ground on the Ferrari of Trooper 53. There is still a fair gap though, as Sam Becker goes into the pits, often to change off of those older soft tone tyres. The AlphaTauri there of Impulse getting very, very unsettling spins off the track. Was that contact? I'm not sure. Possibly contact from another Mercedes, pushing just round as they get unstable off of the corner. However, that spin does put Charlotte back into the points position. Still got a penalty though. Unsure of how much. E765 is challenging against the Alpine of E765 challenging against the Alpine of Loyapa. Harrison M spins again. It's a true tragic day for the McLaren team, falling further and further to the back of the grid. Coming up to FV Apex, who's now fighting Adoro Tay for the position. Both of them seem to be catching up to the Ferrari as well up ahead. Jay English also closing to Jay Rawson quite a fair amount. The battle for second and the battle for fourth really heating up. Brady Pollock, though, completely unchallenged. OJ English going for a move on the outside. DRS wide open, has to hold it round. Gives the position up for the corner, but still going to keep the pressure on. Both FVC2 graduates very close to points from what I remember. Broughton ever so slightly beat him out though, end of the championship. Broughton has to go wide up the corner, just takes full advantage, goes down the inside. Not sure who's have the DRS down the straight. Thinking Rosenquist and the Red Bull spins. Sector 3. Here comes the Ferrari though. Down right past, completely unchallenged into the chicane. McLaren seems to have retired as it heads into pit lane. Rosenquist, I'm not sure what is happening down near the bottom. We're 53 still holding off Adorote and Apex for the final position. Constant yellow flags, chaos, all around the track. Positions seem to have equalised out a bit. OJ English heads into pit lane now. That will give the position back to Broughton. Running the life out of those tyres. Tay also heads into pit lane. That will give Apex a bit more breathing room. Try and catch up to the Ferraris. Still a huge fight back considering the positions. However, you can't forget Mercedes of D765 with teammate Eldorado behind. Most of us now can see penalty for corner cutting. And another penalty goes towards Scarlett today. Truly tragic for her. Teammate Apex still trying to make the most of the positions. Very little between them as the Marco Red Bull is in fight as well. Apex seems to be on quite different bits of track compared to the Ferrari in front. It goes quite wide. D765 though, challenging and gaining right on the back of the Aston Martin. Both the Ferraris are into pit lane. Might cause problems stacked. Going to only disadvantage themselves. It's to slow down. That though will promote into the lead FV Apex, who's already completed his pit stop. D765 though right behind. Red Bull spins again, taking out the braking board, heading into the third corners. Everyone, there's little between them. It's a very bad launch onto the straight and going to lose out. 75 with the DRS, here comes the Mercedes. Switching sides now to the outside line, doesn't quite, gets onto the inside now. Not close enough to make a dive. Apex stays ahead for now. For Apex, very wide off the corner I presume. Now that lets D75 get into the lead. Going to be side by side, possibly into the corner. Apex battles it and stays in front. 75 has to get right into the brakes. Apex running wide slightly, but cuts back in, makes the most of the corner. Have another bout of DRS down the start-finish straight onto lap 11. Not long left in the race. 75 is going to have to make a move soon if he wants to get the chance to win. Sector 3 yellow flag. Red Bull spins again. Rosicus now retires that Red Bull. Dorothée with the fastest lap at 133.123. Alfa Romeo, clearly the fastest cars on track today. Strategy and other incidents have not played into their favour though. 75 now has the DRS down the straight, gaining on the Aston Martin off to the right hand side. Going to be side by side into the chicane. Who's going to have to hit the brakes? Be equal. If it cuts the first part of the chicane, gets wide on the exit, though very close to touching. Stays ahead for now. Have a decent going to have the slipstream down the second part of the straight. Aston Martin in front, harvesting that battery, trying to get as much energy as possible. Completely off the track, that Martin is everywhere. Both cars holding wide and cutting it back into the rest of the line. Behind, Eldorado now is catching very, very closely to these two as they fight out. Three-way battle for the lead currently. Both the Mercedes are going to have a second go down the main straight. Not really long enough to make most of the DRS. However, it will get them closer to that Aston Martin. Jumping down the grid a bit, we have Dorothée and Ozing is fighting for that 8th position. Brady Collins The Alfa Romeo sets another fastest lap at 1:30.089. Completely the fastest cars on track. Jumping back up to the front again. Now, down the long straight for the second to last time. Both the Mercedes have DRS. That's going to be dumping a lot of electric energy, trying to stay in front. Gaining, not going to be enough though. Stays behind the chicane. Cleaner lines this time. Apex runs it wide off the course. Let's compromise them ever so slightly. 75 opting not to stay completely in the slipstream. Gaining into the final corner. Has a look, not enough room. Might try for a dive. Stays on the outside, takes to the left. Will be cutting it in instead. Has to back out. Apex misses the Apex due to it though. Back temporarily. Four-way battle it seems for... Sorry, three-way battle for 6th position. Williams of OJ English staying behind. 1:32.7 now for Brady Pollock. Meaning as Apex has spun round at the first corners. Very, very unfortunate day for the Aston Martin. Fighting for the win now is only going to be fighting for 4th at best by the looks of it. Final lap, nothing is going to be able to catch up to those Mercedes. The only hope now is that these two take each other out. That's only for the other teams. Jumping back over to Scarlett. Still in a three-way fight against Adorate and OJ English. Does have penalties though. Demi gets ahead of Apex. Apex having to stay on the inside of the corners. It's a very bad launch out of the chicane. Only just under half a lap remaining for these two. Apex trying his best to get back into 4th position. He'll be very angry at the fight for the lead. Brady Pollock right on the rear of those two Mercedes, however it's not going to be enough. For the first race in the season, race number 0, Eldorado 2009 will win and D765 takes 2nd for a Mercedes 1-2. Brady Pollock in 3rd, a very fast driver, making the most for their absolute pace. Demi comes home in 5th with Apex in 6th. Scarlett does finish in 6th on track, but moved all the way down to 9th due to unserved penalties. Adoro Tate just about beats out into 6th position, 3:53 in 7th. Less than a 10th between them. OJ English and Sam Baker, very high up the grid they were, but only now finishing down in 8th and 9th. Well, the 10th actually, Jay Broughton, unfortunately only finishing 11th. Impulse finishing 12th, and the rest of the cars did not finish. Eldorado 2009 is the driver of the day after winning the race, coming down all the way from 9th. Shocking qualifying, but a very, very good race for Mercedes. well, seems that Mercedes have already set the bar. Very first win of the season. 1-2, the team. Heading over, we have Eldorado 2009 taking the win and D765 in second. First 1-2 of the season, not even proper races yet. In third, the very fast Alfa Romeo of Brady Bolt, and Demi comes home in fourth. FE Apex, championship defender, only coming home in fifth after that unfortunate accident in the first turn. Dora take him to in sixth and Treework to seventh. Williams duo of OJ English and Simon Baker on 8th and 9th, with Scarlett 42 in 10th. Dave Rotten from 11th, Impulse in 12th, Fly up in 13th, and Rosenquist, Harrison M. Curley all did not finish the race.